Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you something advanced. I'm going to take the butterfly from the Beautiful Day stamp set by Stampin' Up. I'm going to show you how to scan it in, recognize both the inside and outside lines, and instead of actually cutting it out right away, we're going to do what's called debossing. We're going to take it and deboss it onto silver cardstock. Okay, using our embossing starter kit tools. Okay, so we're going to be like digging in there and embossing. We're not, the machine's going to do it for us. Okay, so we're going to deboss the butterfly, and then we're going to actually take the butterfly, and after we're all done doing that, we're going to cut it out. Okay, precisely. Let's get started. Now, I've just turned on the machine and you see pattern and scan. So I'm selecting scan. And instead of direct cut, I'm going to say scan to cut data. That's fine. Scan area 12:6. Recognition mode is black and white. We have good contrast. I'm going to say start. So prior to this, I loaded the mat. I stamped the image in Memento Black onto Whisper White Cardstock, and I let it dry. And now I'm just scanning it in. I'll show you what the mat looks like as well. You'll get a good view of the mat. And why where I put the tape, just to hold it. Now, there's three choices are select the outside of the butterfly. No, we don't want that one. The inside and outside, yes, that's what we want, the second choice. Or just the lines. We want all of this, the inside and outside. So we want the second choice. Frame your butterfly. And we're going to say preview. So I'm just framing it, making a rectangle around it. Preview. Okay. And then we're going to save it to the machine. Okay, what I'm showing you can be done on the CM350 as well, or actually any model. I've tried this on the other models of machine. Okay, we're going to say okay. That's it. Now let's go home. Delete all patterns, yes. Okay, now let's unload the mat. Now I can show you what the mat looks like. When I scanned it, I lined it up to the top left, this piece of Whisper White. It wasn't my mat's not very sticky, so you can't even hear a sticky sound. So I put a little piece of painter's tape there. When you use painter's tape, never cover up these registration marks. They're needed for scanning. I need to take this piece off. Okay, we have the data. We have the data from the butterfly, so we're good. We can leave that piece to the side. Let me give you some room here, show you what's next. So to emboss, you need the embossing starter kit. The embossing starter kit comes with tools, such as this 3mm embossing tool and the 1.5mm embossing tool. It comes with embossing mat, which we're going to use, and it comes with other things, like embossing templates. But we're not going to get into all the other things. We're doing what's called line embossing. So you'd line emboss, you take I'm just showing you how to load the embosser. I'm using the 1.5mm embossing tool, and I'm lining it up with the arrow. Okay, there's arrow here, an arrow there. I'm lining up the arrows, I'm letting go, screwing on the cap. This is going to replace your auto blade, or in your case, your blade. This is just an extra one just for me to show you. Now your embossing mat, it's about 9.5 inches by 12 inches. It has a green side and it has a white side. You want to put it green side down. I'm just lining it up to the top left because that's where I want to put my butterfly as close as I can. I'm putting my butterfly up here as close as I can when I deboss it. Okay, I'm going to smooth it out with my hands, or you could use a brayer. I have a rolling brayer, and that's also made by Brother, so here we go. And whatever you want to do. I think it sticks on there pretty well. There's a piece of plastic protecting the mat, so peel off that plastic. Put that off to the side, and now you're going to attach the material that you're going to deboss. Now I'm going to deboss because I'm leaving it face up. This is silver foil cardstock by Stampin' Up. I want to dig down into it with the embossing tool. I want to deboss my butterfly because it looks really cool. If I wanted to emboss my butterfly, I would turn over the cardstock like this and dig into it. Okay, and we would turn it over later. And I'll give you a little tip about that. Hopefully I remember to give you that tip about if you want to cut that out too, because that's a little trickier if you want to cut that out. So I'm lining up this to the top left, this piece as much as I can. I'm sticking it onto the embossing mat. Okay, so there's my piece of silver. I'm going to bring the machine back. So I'm going to load the mat, put that in there. Oh, and by the way, this is thick material. So now I'm going to go around to the side, but over here on my machine, and I'm setting the lever to 2 because I have really thick material. I have a thick embossing mat, so be sure to set your lever to 2. Go ahead and load your mat. Okay, I'm going to bring this closer. My mat's loaded. I'm going to take my stylus and retrieve my data. Retrieve data, okay? Where do I want to retrieve it from? I want to retrieve it from the machine because that's where I saved it. And it should be the last thing. Here's the butterfly. Okay, so now we're going to say okay. We're going to say okay. And we want to say please select. And instead of cut, instead of draw, we want emboss now. At this point, if you forget to attach the embossing tools, I'm going to show you how to do that, then it will tell you you forgot. I'm going to lift the blade holder out. I'm going to put the embossing tool in. And if you don't, it will tell you you can't emboss without the embossing tool. So it will tell you. It'll tell you need to have that. We're going to say start. And even though we said emboss, it's really sort of like debossing because it's going down into our silver. Okay, I will see you in the next part of the video. I'm not going to just make you wait 3 minutes while it does this. You won't miss any steps. Your butterfly is finished embossing. We're going to say okay. We're going to unload the mat. And here's what we have. We have a beautiful, beautiful debossed butterfly. So now you're going to take, in fact, let's give us some room here. We're going to take this off the mat. Now, this is very important. You can't cut onto when you have this embossing mat on here. So you have to peel this off. And if you have spatula, it's good. Sometimes I use my larger spatula. This is my from a Cricut machine actually. I'm just using a larger spatula back there. It helps to not bend the piece of foil too much because I want that to be able to stick on there. All right, so it looks great so far, so good. Now you remove the embossing mat. Okay, and we're going to put that piece of plastic back on there. And so that's all. I'll get that on there a little better later. See how many bubbles are in there. I'll get that back on there because I don't want you to miss any steps. Okay, let's just go here and do this next part. So we have this butterfly. All right, here we go. My advanced scan and cut users. All right, so we are going to take this butterfly that's saved to the machine right now. Where is my stylus? Let's get another one. Okay, we're going to go back, hit back. Okay, and now we're going to go back, and there it is. It's inside our machine, remember? We're going to say save. Instead of saving it to the machine, again, we need to save it to the cloud. This is Brother Canvas Workspace. Okay, just to give you an idea of why we're doing this, is we're going to go ahead and add an offset line. Okay, something you can't do with scan to cut data in your machine directly is add an offset line. You can with direct cut, but anyway, that's why since we're using scan to cut data, we need this to go to the Brother Canvas Workspace. Okay, so I will see you in that software for the next part of this tutorial. Hello, for this step of our debossing butterfly project, I have logged into canvasworkspace.brother.com. I've logged in. There's my name, Papered Chef, and I'm going to go to my projects. The project I want to retrieve is this project, this butterfly, the one I just scanned in. So I'm going to just retrieve it by going to this little, it looks like a square with a bunch of dots around it, and I'm going to double click on that. And that's just editing. I want to edit the butterfly. All right, so the idea is we're putting an offset line on the butterfly. So I'm going to click on it once. You have 2 ways to put an offset line. The first way is just go up to Edit and use this option here, Create Offset Line. Okay, I prefer, instead of going to the edit mode, create offset line, I prefer, because I have a PC and I use the right click menu a lot, I prefer to right click on the flyout menu and I like to say create offset line. Same thing. You'll get the same properties. Okay, so by default, my offset line is 0.2 inches. I need to slide it all the way back, and I don't want it 0.4, I want 0.08. Okay, 0.08 inches. Now, I want it to be outward, because it's an offset line. I'm going to be drawing a line, or cutting a line outside of the butterfly. And I want it around the outer edge, and I want it to be rounded, not beveled. It's going to be rounded. Original line, you can leave it as is, because it doesn't matter. We're gonna move it in a minute. I just want to show you. Okay, so we'll say okay. Okay, I want to show you what happened. I want to move it to show you, and because it doesn't matter, because the next step you need to move it anyway. Because even if we were, I'm just gonna go ahead and move that away. I'm just clicking on the outer box. If you don't get it, you'll know. Just click on the outer box and move it. Let's see. Come on, butterfly. I just want the outer one, not the inner one. See, this is all I want. You'll know if you started moving it and the inside moved. I can go ahead and delete this inside butterfly now because I have my offset line. I'm deleting all the parts. I really needed to do that to show you that my outside line was bigger than my inside. It doesn't matter where I put it. Just don't rotate it at this point. And don't rotate it or anything because it has to line up close to where our embossed butterfly is. And I'll show you how to make it exact in our tutorial. But for example, say you well, no, never mind. I'm going to teach you the mirroring later. Okay. I can tell you about the mirroring, but I'm not actually going to do it. If your butterfly needed to be reversed because you had embossed instead of debossed, then you would need to mirror this, like flip it. But I really don't want to confuse you. So our butterfly is in the exact position it needs to be in. And I think I'm just going to go with that. Okay, let's stop. I'll see you back at the machine. Oh no, I'm sorry. We have to say download. We have to get this back to the machine, don't we? Download, scan and cut, transfer. Okay, download, scan and cut, transfer. And now I'll see you back at the machine where we will retrieve this file. For this step in the tutorial, we're going to take our debossed butterfly and we're going to tape the piece of silver foil cardstock to the mat. Okay, you don't have to tape it if your mat's very sticky, but as I mentioned, when you do embossing, it does curl up the cardstock a little. It doesn't really matter where you put it on the mat because we can move the other butterfly, but I like to just keep it straight along these edges because it helps us when we do the alignment in a minute. This time it doesn't matter really if you cover up the registration marks because, well, it could matter. Let's just not cover them up. Okay, that's just because we are going to do something called background scanning. So let's just do that, just so the paper doesn't slip, something like that. Okay, I'm not going to cover these up. All right, now what we're doing, the machine's already on. We are retrieving the data of the butterfly that we have from our computer, from the cloud. Okay, so let's go back. We're going to say okay, or just go to home. Now we're going to retrieve data, but this time we're retrieving it from the cloud. And it should be the outline of our butterfly. Okay, the outline. That is the one that has the 0.08 offset line. We're going to go ahead and first load the mat. Okay, now we're going to do what's called background scanning. And then I might have to add more tape before we do cutting. And by the way, I just took the embossing tool out because we don't need that anymore. We're going to do background scanning. That's this button here. It's going to allow us to scan in the debossed butterfly. Okay, the material is too thick and cannot be used. I don't know why it's saying that. Let me just go ahead and tape it down some. I'm going to unload the mat. I know why it's saying that. I do know why. See, it's already lifting up this edge. Unfortunately, our mats are not very sticky and you have to do a lot of extra taping. It shouldn't hurt anything for background scanning, so I'm just putting extra tape everywhere so that this mat, and I even have it set on 2. Okay, that's what I just did. I taped it everywhere, so hopefully it goes in smoother this time. I'm going to go ahead and say load the mat again. Hopefully it doesn't think the material is too thick. because it's just a piece of cardstock is all it is, and we're going to go ahead and say start. So what we're doing now is we're scanning in the butterfly, and then we're going to align it to the shape we want to cut out. Imagine doing a whole page of these. It would save you a lot more time. Okay, I think it's pretty good already. It's aligned pretty well, but I need to really zoom in to show you what that looks like. So go into editing mode, and what that is, oh, by the way, there's a couple things I want to point out. It just scanned in the background. If you want to change the setting or the contrast of that background scan, you can go in there and you could say that. You could make it darker, okay, and make the silver show up better, okay, and that would be one way of doing that. Or you could turn off the background scan. Let's say edit, and let's zoom in. Okay, we're going to zoom in some more. I really want you to be able to see that. Okay, so what we want is we want our line. I'm going to go ahead and make, I'm going to say okay and make that background a little bit lighter. Here, lighter, so you can really see that. I think it works better when it's lighter. Edit, zoom in. You don't have to zoom in. I'm only zooming in to show you for this demonstration. I want to take the line, our offset line, which is 0.08, and I want to line it up on the butterfly. And you really, if you line up the antenna, the rest is good. Okay, great. I'm happy with it. I'm just nudging it a little till I'm happy with it. The reason I'm not using a 0.04 is because I think this is a little, 0.08 is a little more forgiving. It's like when you move it, it moves a lot, doesn't it? I'm just kind of moving it. Every time I move it, it moves a little bit too much than I want it to. And I could actually nudge it with the arrows as well. You know, I can use these arrows and sort of nudge it where I want it to go. And try something like that. I mean, I think it's fine. It's fine. All right, so we're going to say okay, and we're going to cut it. Say okay. Okay. And please select, and we're going to cut it this time. I'm going to put my auto blade in, and I'm going to shut the lever, and I'm going to say cut. By the way, my machine is still, my lever over here on the side is still set to 2, even though I don't have an embossing mat in. It doesn't matter, I just kept it set to 2, and it shouldn't matter. This is really quick because I'm only cutting the outside of the butterfly. And if you do a bunch of these, you save a lot of time. Before I take this off, I will take it off and show you, but I'm going to go ahead and unload the mat. But I want to tell you something else before I get off to the next step. We're going to pull this off. Beautiful, debossed, and cut out butterfly. Okay, and you could have done it fuzzy cut, but that would take you a long time. If for some reason, there's even a little, let me get my scissors. Sometimes there's a little, it doesn't really matter, but there's like a little nub, I call it, or nib, and I'm just going to cut it. There we go. That's a little smoother. It's beautiful. Now, if you were to, let's go back to this for a minute. If you had the paper earlier and you had flipped it forward and you had done what's called embossing, and I did show that in my YouTube channel, you had it down, then you would have had to take your scanned image and you had to flip it or mirror it. But we're already done it, but I will show you where you could do that. Okay, so in this editing mode, if you would select this and edit, and you go to object edit, you can do what's called mirror or flip, and it will flip the butterfly the other way. And you would have had to have done that. So let's just, another time I'll show reasons to do that, and I will get more into the inner workings of this machine, but I don't want to confuse any of you because this is already advanced. All right, now we're going to make a card, beautiful card. So we're going to take, I thought that this looked really good with what's called the Noble Peacock Specialty Designer Series paper. I'm going to put that on there so you can see. I thought it looked really good on there. That's what I made cards out of the other day. I took the detailed trio tag punch, or detailed trio punch, and I punched these cool, like these little corners. And then I put it onto a card base. I'm just going to do that because I don't have one made already. Okay. I put that onto a card base of shimmery white cardstock. Let's find some dimensionals to attach it with. It's better when you're use some big dimensionals when you're attaching a butterfly, because this is heavy duty material. I'm going to put 5 on there. Any kind of foam adhesives pop that butterfly up. Before I attach it, I always want to make sure my sentiment looks good first. Okay, so here's my shimmery white cardstock. And that's going to be the card base. It has, I don't know if you can even see that, but it has really cool shimmer. Really cool glittery effect. Okay, let's see if I can use this one. Some cards are better than others. This one might be a little better. It's better that before you fold it, you just kind of hold it there and use like a bone folder or a way to flatten that out. So this is shimmery. Oh, here you can see it next to this. You could see that maybe you could see that it shimmers, maybe you can't, but it definitely is like an off-white. I like using that for card bases. So there we go. We're going to attach the card base to the shimmery white. And now I'm going to use the sentiment from the Beautiful Day stamp set. By the way, I'm just putting like 4 lines of rolling adhesive on here. This pattern goes either way, so it doesn't really matter which way I put it. All right. Okay, we'll leave that there, but don't attach it yet. Now you need to take a piece of shimmery white cardstock. I have some from my snowman projects the other day. I'm going to just put a little piece of foam down. Here, let's use this one. My table is not very large. I'm going to close my ScanNCut to make some room here. So here we are. We need our stamp. We're going to use Blueberry Bushel because Blueberry Bushel is a color that coordinates with that noble peacock. And I'm going to use Always Thinking of You. It's a great sentiment for any card. It also fits on this card. And it goes with, it's from the Beautiful Day stamp set. So I like to kind of keep the sentiments together if I can, and I just think it goes well. Otherwise, I get a lot of questions. What sentiment? Where did that sentiment come from? Okay, so there, I'm just tapping with the ink, and I'm putting it on. It doesn't matter that I put it upside down because I'm going to have to cut it. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that it was straight then. I'm going to take my paper trimmer. I really should let that dry better before I cut it, so it doesn't smear. Okay, I just trim it down a little bit, trim it this side. Okay, now we're going to put it on the card. I'm going to put it right down there. Actually, I'll put it up there this time because last time I put it down. I'm going to try it above as well. Okay, good. Because I think that side's has a little more room on the bottom. Okay, now I can attach this. Now I can attach my butterfly because I know my sentiment will fit. And I attach it at sort of an angle. And even though it's going to go above it, like that a little bit, now I can take a little bit of rolling adhesive. I don't need to pop the sentiment up on dimensionals. I'm just going to put that down with a couple lines of rolling adhesive. And then I have some gems that also kind of go well with this. They were from the Noble Peacock Suite as well, where this Specialty Designer Series paper came from. So throw a few gemstones on there. Now normally I just got these, but I normally would, Noble Peacock Rhinestones they're called. I would normally use that little pokey tool, some kind of, it's called like take your pick tool to pick these up with, but I couldn't put everything up on this table. So I am going to go old school with a pin. And I'm going to use a little pin. And I'm going to put that's a Blueberry Bushel one. And let's take another color. I'm going to take a couple of these. Okay, and I'm going to take another one. Here, we'll take, purple. Here, I'm going to put this one on another part of the card. Maybe in the middle of the butterfly here, the little pink one. I always like to do things in threes. Okay, so now I have 3 different colors. And there is the card. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this somewhat advanced tutorial on how to deboss a stamped image and how to cut it out and how to create a project with it. Thank you for watching. This is the Papered Chef and your exclusive Patreon video.